we are excited to introduce you to LitPilot, our AI-powered research co-pilot, which me and my partner, we would die to have during our time when we were doing PhD studies. Before jumping into any details, I would like to tell a little bit stories about myself. Since childhood, I was fascinated about the cool stuff scientists have been doing, including assembling molecules to drugs that can save millions of people's lives. And also they built robots that taking the command of us and do all the chores. And I studied hard and went all the way until I made up to PhD. And only to find what I actually signed up for. Despite that, I did have some inspiring and exciting moments where I had new discoveries in science, where I made improvements in experiments and had some good data. I found myself dreading about searching information through piles of literatures and writing papers, preparing presentations, and all those stuff. So recently, since we have AI, I asked ChatGPT what this PhD life look like, or what scientists actually do, and this is what it gives me. So we can see all the biggest words are work long hours, data, writing and publishing. So yeah, I can definitely relate to that. So I want to ask my partner, Yinong, how about you? What is your PhD look like?
Yeah, I will say this word cloud is definitely like true for me as well. So it is tough, but it is rewarding at the same time. And for me personally, I do enjoy the researching part where like trying different methodologies, digging into like where the problem is, how to improve it. But most of the time, I also struggle, like, for example, writing. So when you're writing, most of the time you need to also see like how other people write it. So I did a lot of like literature review where like I need to manually search the papers, read through each papers, and then maybe, okay, halfway I figure out this is not the topic I even care about. So I need to start over. And then other part for writing is I want to make fancy plot because for conferences, and like posters and papers, if you have like a very like interesting plot, it's definitely eye-catching. But back then I used MATLAB and I need to spend a long time to try to make it look better. And also in Python as well. Back then we use like Seaborn, and then if you want to make it fancy, you do Plotly, but still a lot of coding there. So I always wonder, what if there's like someone can help me do those work and I can just do the researching part. So yeah, this is my story.
Yeah, thank you, Yinong. Yeah, I think we share the same feelings about research. So being scientists ourselves, we got ourselves covered and we got all other future students covered with our products, LitPilot. So at this time, we have the function of doing literature search and also doing some data analysis and basic data visualization and interpretation through the by using the AI agent and also some API calls. So to achieve this, at the point of building our POC, we're using the most mainstream and tools that we are mostly familiar with. So of course, we're using LangChain to do all the orchestration, and we have Streamlit to interact with the end users. And we use Hugging Face embedding models to vectorize our contextual data. And we use the quadrant as our vector database. That is the base of the RAG system we are going to use. And we have our search API, which including the PubMed and the Semantics Scholar API. And also the most important is the LLM, and we use different version of OpenAI LLM GPT. So yeah, now with that, we would like to showcase our products through a case study. So we got a research question: what are the major contributing factors of diabetes? So I'll pass it to Yinong to demo the first part. Oh, sorry, Yinong, you are on mute if you're talking.
Okay, we are all suffering from this mute and mute thing. Okay, so this is our platform. So I will first do a demo for the literature research part. So I will input my queries, and then I will walk you through the architecture, and then I will come back to show you the result. So I will first input, so as I mentioned, a scenario for a researcher more often is you want to do a research, but for a certain topic, and you want to first see what other people already completed for this kind of similar research. So you will go online and then you search papers, and then you read through it to make sure, like roughly read it to make sure it's relevant to your topic. And more likely you only care about, for example, the methodology they use, the data source they use, like what kind of inclusion criteria they use in the paper. So you technically don't need to read through the whole paper. You just care those informations. So this whole thing can automate the whole process I just mentioned. So this is based on PubMed literature search. So first I will input my PubMed API account. And then after that, I will input my the things that I care. So in this one, first I want to have some papers include diabetes and quality of life in the title. So this is a common PubMed search query. And then second, I want to know, is this paper talk about how diabetes impact the quality of life? And then if it is talking about that, then I want to know in this paper what kind of data source they used. So right now I'm gonna go ahead and submit this query, and then I will go through this architecture to let you see what's behind it. So this is in general, basically one agent equipped with 3 tools. So the first two gonna based on the query you put in PubMed, and then it's gonna do the paper polling, but it won't do the full paper polling. It will just pull the paper title along with the abstract. And then the agent will do this thinking and then figure out, okay, now I have the paper, I have the abstract, I can do abstract screening, which is basically do a semantic similarity calculation between the abstract of the papers and then compare it with my screening criterions, which is how diabetes impact the quality of life. And then after that, for the papers that pass the screening, the agent's gonna use the third tool, which is to do the full paper poll, and then read the full paper and then extract the information that I want to extract. And this is the 3-2. And the flow is the agent's gonna do this whole thinking and then will be able to pick the right tools in each action. So I'm gonna go back. Okay, so we got our result back. So it's giving me a summary of this agent is able to retrieve 5 papers. 5 is just a default I set in the background to make it run faster. And for each one, it does a screening decision. It's either include or not included. And then for the included one, it's gonna go ahead and see, okay, this is the data source they used. And then for each one, it's gonna give you the same summary. So this is the first part of our platform. And I will stop here and let Jimmy reshare.
Time.
Thank you. Yes, so now that we have all the literature's research done, and we have saved our papers into our local storage, now I'm going into this app again, assuming I already input my OpenAI API, and I go to the third page, which is data analysis. So I put my path to my data part, and I submit it. And then it will immediately print out the data frame. And now I ask my question here. This is the research question.
Let me go ahead and share screen just to wrap this up finally.
Oh, sorry.
Here we go.
Am I sharing now?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, we saw the data and we run the query, and now while running, I will share the architecture. So in this tools, we take in the input from the user, which is a query and the CSV file, that is my data. It will pass through an OpenAI assistant, which is a tool called Code Interpreter, where it will do all the magic of data visualization and interpretation. And after this is done, the interpretation part, the text part, will be fed into a reference check supervisor. And the supervisor is equipped with two agents. One is the query agent, which search external database using the Semantic Scholar API, and the other is the local agent, which search for the local papers and also the textbook lecture notes, which are personal to the researchers. And all those results will be passed back to the supervisor, and supervisor will make a decision whether to continue or to end, or if it's not satisfied, it will go back to the OpenAI assistant and do the visualization and interpretation again. So now, okay, sorry. Okay, there is something wrong with this. So eventually what's going to happen is I will have a results printed out in the third page, and then I'll come back to collect the analysis, and that's how the tool is going to work. So to wrap up, our next step is first, we're going to complete our app functions, which is editing and compliance check. Editing means once we completed our research, we compile our results and literature research and get ready for publication. And compliance check means we will check whether all the conflict of interest, those requirements are met. And also we are going to do some enhancements, like we do a proper model selection and fine tuning, and we will have a separate data pipeline to manage our data source, the documents, and we will also do on cloud deployment. And in the end, we're going to serve and launch our products once all those things are completed, and we will make it open source, and we invite collaboration and outreach. So last but not least, this is us. And if you are interested in our products, welcome to connect on LinkedIn.